So as I announced on my latest newsletter, this is the poster that I'm going to show you how to create today in Photoshop. And by the way, if you're not already subscribed to my newsletter, there is where I announce upcoming manipulations, tutorials, and everything I publish on my website. There's a link on the video description if you want to sign up. That will take you to the sign up form if you want to sign up for my newsletter. And this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how I created this simple poster in Photoshop. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you receive notifications every time I post new tutorials on my YouTube channel. One other thing that I would like to ask you is if you like these tutorials, if you want me to make more of these tutorials, posters and wallpapers and that kind of stuff, just answer the questionnaire that I will put on the video. It will pop up on here on the screen, and you will just have to click yes or no, and that way I will know if you want me to make more of this kind of artworks or works in Photoshop. So that being said, I hope you will enjoy this tutorial. You will have the PSD file on my website as usual, and also the resources and everything there linked on the video description. And if you're watching this from the website, the download is down below the video player. So I hope you will enjoy it, and let's get started. Okay, in order to start, we're going to create a new document, and the canvas size that I used for this is 3500 by almost 5,000 pixels. I will create this size, but obviously I will make it smaller because I'm also recording a video, so maybe about 2000 by 3000 is okay. Resolution, I'm going to put it down to 72, or actually let's leave it to 300. The reason why I use 300 for resolution is because I always want to have this prepared for printing. You know that for printing you need high resolution, so that's why I use 300 when I create my manipulations, so that way I can have the right resolution if I want to print this someday. So let's get started. Now this is going to be a minimalistic wallpaper or poster actually, so you don't need a very busy background. In fact, I don't even know if I used anything. Yeah, I just used a blank background, so I will use a white solid color. The reason why I do this is because I want to be able to change the background whenever I want, so that's why I do not leave the default background there in place. So I just create my own with the fill color, and I'm going to leave it to white. The next thing I want to do is add my model, because that way I can create the composition a lot better. So here is the stock folder, and here are the images that I used for this. Now we're gonna crop the head of the woman, so I will use the quick selection tool to just quickly select her. This image is pretty big, so the selection might take a while to calculate. I also got rid of the woman's hair, so I'll use the pen tool. Now once you're done with the path, right click and choose make selection. Click OK and just fill that with black, and we're good to go. Now part of her head, we're gonna crop it, so I will apply the layer mask. I'm not going to refine the edge. I'm gonna apply the layer mask and just copy this to my canvas about that way. Now when you create this, you have to kind of plan beforehand how you're going to make the composition. Know more or less how you're going to place the information on your poster. In my case, I knew I wanted to have the year right here on the left, and I have the main title of the poster right here on the top left, and the date, and some additional information here, and usually the sponsors go here on the bottom. So kind of you have to plan this a little bit. You have to have all the information that you're going to put on the poster, because otherwise you will not be able to make a good composition. So make sure you have all the information, and if necessary, just place it there on the poster itself, so that you know more or less where each element is going to go. I already knew what I kind of wanted to do, so that's That's why I'm going to do it like this right now, because otherwise I would maybe start just adding information on the places where I knew it would go, and then I will add the rest of the elements according to the information. But that's just different ways of working, so you can do it however you like. And we'll create a layer mask, and now with the pen tool I will just create a shape like this, just to crop the bottom part. And I'm gonna right click and choose make selection and fill that with black. And the same with the head. Let me check a little bit the shape. Okay, you want to crop it more or less to the underneath her eyes. Actually, I think I did, yeah, like so. Don't use a perfectly straight line, it's not going to look really good, so try something a little more shaped, like a curve or something. Right click, make selection, click OK, and fill that with black. Now it's not perfect, but it will do. The next thing we want to do is create a shadow. Create a new layer underneath, get the brush tool. You want to use something really light shade of gray, and we want to use a soft brush, and just click once there, press Ctrl Command T, and just squeeze that down like so. Now if you want to go a step further with this shading thing, what you can do is make this first shadow like so, put it right over here, and then create another one, and that way you can have like two separate shadows. Now these are too strong, they should be a little more elongated like this, because the reason why I did this on the original poster is because these parts over here are a little bit closer to the ground and they cast shadows on different intensities. But this is just like, as I said, a step further on the shadings. You can see here we have some shadow here, and then another shadow here, and here in between you have a little bit less. So that's just what I did there with the brush tool. I could set the opacity to 10 and 10, the opacity on flow, and kind of get rid of the shadow. Let's go with the top of the head, with this part over here. This is really simple to do. All you need to do, let's name this shadow first. All you need to do is create a new layer underneath the model, get the pen tool again, but this time change the option to shape, and just start painting. Let me get the color that I will actually use, which is this orange. Simply start painting from one side there. Make sure you start right from the corner here. Click once there, and then create a line like that. Make sure the curve really matches the shape there, and then kind of follow the same path that you did when you created the layer mask, like so. Don't create a straight line. This is it's going to look really weird. So create some shape here at the end. You want to see, I did not did that correctly. The point here, the second anchor point here, should be lower, not that high. So I'm gonna do it there, and then create yet another one here on the right on the tip, and then I'm gonna go underneath her skin. You don't want to go too far away from the edge, just in case you want to create some shadow. So you want this to be as parallel as possible to her skin. So try and do your best, and just move the points around if necessary. Okay, now we have the shape, and this is how it looks like. Now, in order to give it a little bit more of a 3D look to it, we have to add some shadow and light on this shape. You have two ways of doing that. You can use layer styles, or you can manual paint it. For this, I will manual paint it because I think it's quicker for in my case here, but you can do it however you want. So I created a new layer, clipped, and this one I will use it on screen. I will actually use the same color because since I have the screen blend mode, you can see that it's gonna just brighten the whole thing, so you don't even have to change the color. But I will drop the opacity and the flow to 50 and flow to 30 maybe. Use this soft brush, and I will just paint the top part with this brighter tone, but not everywhere, just on some places, like that. And now I will create a new layer, again clipped, and I will put this one to multiply. I will leave exactly the same color and exactly the same opacity, because the multiply is the opposite of the screen blend mode, which means it's going to darken the whole thing here. And just a few passes. It's not a big deal, but it's going to create some effect here on the edge. And yet another thing you can do is on the shape itself. Let's name this head shape. The next thing you want to do is use hue saturation to desaturate the woman's body, and probably some levels or curves to just increase the contrast a little bit and make it look more contrasty. Ooh, that's too much. I got rid of that. I lost part of her well, clothing there, which is not good. So let's move on. Let me check what else do I have here. Now let's start adding the first elements. As I said, the information I already knew where it's going to go, but anyway, let's add it first because it's the most important part of this poster. Of course, you want this to communicate something, so you want to have the information perfectly visible. You don't want to cover it with any of the elements of the poster. So let's add that. But before we do that, let me add some safety margins here. You don't want to put everything just here on the edge. That's not. It creates unnecessary tension. Now, in order to do that, we will go to View, New Guide Layout. We don't want to have columns or rows. We just want margins. And what I found worked for my size here is 150 pixels. You can use percentage, even though I do not recommend doing that, because that will only work if you want to have the same edges, the same amount of edge on all sides. You want to use pixels, unless you're using a square canvas, because if you use 5% from the top and 5% on the left, you will see that we have less margin on the left than on the top, because the canvas is higher than wide, which is, and if you use percentages, it's just going to use that percentage of those values, which is not going to be equal. So 150 pixels is okay, and we'll click OK. Now we'll have everything set up, and we will add everything inside of this box here. So let's start adding the title. I don't even remember the text. Actually, you know what? I'm going to copy just here. I'm just going to give you the size of the, well, the font that I used. I used ETC Avant-Garde, but you can use pretty much any font. So I think this is a commercial font, so I cannot give it to you, but let's drop the size to 500. And then I used 2 colors here just to kind of have something to play with. Now this is how I created a title. I just typed the title of my poster and I used different colors, as you can see. And then I just used the subtract blend mode on each of this layers. Well, actually I used different blend modes. You kind of have to try, because for example the subtract will not work probably here, as you can see. So the subtract worked on the green, and probably it would even work on the orange. But you have to try. So try different blend modes and just kind of have this stacked like that, and just I think it just creates a nice effect, and that's why I created like that. And I use different colors just to have something different there. Not really difficult. So let's move on. And the title, again, I'm gonna copy that from there. The reason why I'm doing this is because I just don't want to spend too much time showing how to type text, because this is really simple and really easy. What is a little more complicated, well, is just coming up with a composition that actually works, and you don't have to search for the information, because that's the main goal of a poster. You have to communicate something, and then you also have to have something eye-catching so that people are drawn to it, but also find the information really quickly, which is the name of the event, if that's an event, when it's gonna take place, where, and the sponsors. Really like the secondary thing here, which are why I post them here, and usually you will find them here on the bottom of any poster. Logos and websites and additional information. So I'm gonna just drag them right over here. So, okay, let's move on and let's start with the kind of creative stuff here. So what I did is I wanted to, let me just minimize this. I wanted to have some more color here in the middle and just create more stuff there. So I did a few things. Let me just group everything. Head shape, let's group this right over here, everything. Model, and I will create a new layer underneath. And I will name this, I will group it as well, and I will name it design. Now in here I created a shape. I just created a circular shape. You don't want to have this like that. It's, well, you could, but I think it creates too much tension. So just have it to the side. It's going to throw things a little off balance, and it's going to add more movement to the whole image. Now, as you can see, this is how I made it. Probably the woman should be a little smaller. So let's press Ctrl-Command-T and make her just a touch smaller. Here you will see that this orange obviously is not good because it's gonna interact with that other one. So let's create a gradient overlay. Black and white is okay, and overlay will look even better, but with a lower opacity. In order to add a little more texture here, what I did is I created some shapes in Illustrator and just placed them there on top. You will find them here on the stock folder. I just saved them as PNG. This one's over here. But if you double click, if you find this on the PSD file and if you double click them, you will be taken to Illustrator. So just clip that there, put it right over there, and just change to whatever blend mode you want. I think I used soft light and just dropped the opacity a little bit. I'm not sure. Yeah, actually, I think these are inverted. So they are white on soft light and just look like that. Now, something really cool I found on the internet is a font called Balloon, I think. I'm going to show it to you right now, which has, it's actually a colored font. It's really cool. I found it on Behance. I will put the link on the video description just to give credit to the author. It's a free font, and it's this one over here. You will find it on the resources folder. As I said, even though I will include a link to the author, I will put this inside. Actually, let me just do that now. It's called the Balloon font, and it's actually, you can install it as a font on your machine, and also comes with some PSD files with all the letters and also some of the stuff that the author used to create that. And I will open this one first, the balloon patterns. And I will grab this part over here. This is the one that I used. Actually, I will get the, I think, well, this is a smart object. I don't know if these layers are separate. No. So I'll just use the lasso tool to grab this. I will Control V there to add that there. Made it smaller and just put it right over there just to create this really weird thing. And I used overlay to create this shape. You can, with the hue saturation, you can change the colors if you want. And I will duplicate this, flip horizontal, change the size a little bit and move it right over there and clip it again. Now let's go with the font. Let's see if I can find it here on my computer. I think I have it already installed. I will put it underneath this circle, and with the text tool I will just type a letter there, and then I will search for that font. Yeah, here is Balloon Regular. You can see the whole font in here, and now I will just make it bigger. And since this is a vector shape, you can make it as big as you want. Use any letter you like. I will just use this one. I don't even remember which one I used on the original manipulation. Well, poster here. I think I used the R again. And then some other letter which I turned, or maybe you can grab some other color from here and just put it here and make it stick out a little bit. And the cool thing about this font is that you can, for example, you can rasterize it or turn it into smart object, and with a hue saturation you can change the colors a bit. Okay, but try to have a color palette here, because if you just start to throw in colors, it's gonna look really weird. So try and have consistency in terms of color. Maybe on the 220 I could use some other tone on the 20 here, because this tone, it's kind of weird. So I would probably sample a color from here or something like that to have something similar to what I already have on my poster. Another thing that I added is this flower. Always looks nice on this kind of posters, on this kind of designs. And simply just use the contiguous option and probably lower the tolerance a bit and just get rid of the background. And I will paste it right over here inside the design folder on top of that letter and behind my circle. And you can make it stick out. Actually, if you put it on top of the circle, you can put it there and make it stick out from that other side if you like to. Yeah, I think it looks better actually. And just increase a little bit the light on it. Like that. And then some other elements to fill in the scene. I used the stock image of these. This is actually a render. And just get some of these circles over here. Yeah, also then you'll have a second wave shape here, which is this one, also made in Illustrator. And I will place this one over here, or actually on top of the model here, like that, and I will make it smaller. And I just duplicate this, just to have some abstract elements around here. Just duplicate it, move it a couple of times down with Shift and the arrow keys, and that's pretty much it. And then here on the bottom you have the space to place the rest of the text, description or whatever. I will just use lorem ipsum. Obviously, when you make this and you add your text on your poster, you wanna make some printing tests, because you will never know from the screen how big the text it is, if you can read it or if the colors are right. So after you make this, you want to make some tests so that you make sure that everything is okay. And then probably the website, I will just use psdbox.com for this. Let's assume I organized this event for you guys. So I will place that over there and make it on bold, and pretty much any information you want to add. Now probably I would add some other things here, like the participants or whatever. It really depends on what kind of poster you make. This is just general ideas here. And once you're done, you can leave it like this. Actually, it looks really good like that. Probably the woman, I would make her a little better, the design and the model, with Control-Command-T. See, that's why it's good to group elements, because that way you can change the size of everything really quick. And as you can see, everything is inside of this box. Of course, you can add some adjustments to this if you want. Probably I will add a color lookup. You know, I like to make this kind of adjustments, but this is not a photo manipulation. But it still can change the way your manipulation looks, your poster, sorry. I'm in photo manipulation mode still, so that's why I say photo manipulation all the time, but I mean poster. So you could try different color lookups, or even a camera raw filter, or who knows, whatever adjustment you want to add. But I think it looks really good as it is right now. So that's how I created this poster. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, make sure you post a comment below, and also make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to rate, to answer that questionnaire that I placed there at the beginning of the video. If you want more of these posters and more abstract stuff, just comment on the video, or just better yet, if you answered that questionnaire. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.